looking for an answer, and there's the intensity.
33-31 victory over the Steelers, and if you can't hear it.
The Cincinnati Bengals were supposed to be Super Bowl contenders. Armed with an elite quarterback and 2 superstar receivers, they were supposed to be one of the AFC's best teams. Preseason predictions had Joe Burrow potentially being in the MVP conversations by the end of the year, and that offense was expected to be an absolute fireworks show. And then Joe Burrow went down. The one thing that Bengals fans did not want to see happen: Joe Burrow goes down with a turf toe injury that gets him placed on injured reserve. And at first, the hope was that he'd only miss the minimum 4 games and return, but reports quickly came out that he'd be out for around 2 to 3 months instead. I mean, just like that, the season felt completely over already. The hype completely vanished, and it was just replaced by a tidal wave of doubt and criticism. The Bengals, who were once a pretty safe bet for a deep playoff run, saw their Super Bowl odds crash to as low as this. Of course, when you're winning games though, it is very easy for fans and the media to kind of just brush off a team's biggest issue. And when Joe Burrow went down, the team started stacking losses, which results in the media and fans picking out their biggest problems because it was even more noticeable than it was before. The most important of their problems being the franchise's inability to keep Joe Burrow healthy. See, the offensive line has been this team's Achilles heel dating all the way back to Burrow getting drafted, and this year it's been maybe the worst we've ever seen it. According to Pro Football Focus, the offensive line has been ranked as the worst run blocking unit in the NFL and the 4th worst in pass blocking. It is so bad that former Bengals legend Andrew Whitworth recently called out the organization for failing to invest in and properly evaluating the position for over a decade, and the result of that is a completely broken run game that sits dead last in the league, cranking out a pathetic 56.7 yards per game, and a franchise quarterback that's once again missing games due to injury. Unfortunately, the problems weren't just on one side of the football. The defense, which was supposed to be better this year under new defensive coordinator Al Golden, has been a huge letdown. Although, let's be real, despite the moves that they made in the offseason, this unit just didn't look good on paper at all. And since the season started, this unit has just been bleeding points. They've been giving up over 30 a game, ranking them 30th in the league out of 32. Now, with Joe Burrow healthy, Cincinnati won a lot of games that they probably shouldn't have in the past. He was able to squeak out big wins over tough opponents with basically no defense and a disaster of an offensive line in front of him. Sadly, Jake Browning is not Joe Burrow. I know, that's shocking to hear. From the moment he stepped in to replace the face of the franchise, it was very obvious that they wouldn't be able to stay in the playoff conversation long enough for Burrow to come back. This dude was throwing interception after interception, and finally, the team decided enough was enough and hit the trade market after, in my opinion, way too many losses. Initially, Cincinnati had spoken to the New York Giants about adding Jameis Winston, which, by the way, would have been hilarious to watch, but unfortunately, the Giants didn't want to part ways with one of their most beloved players, so the Bengals had to pivot and trade for 40-year-old veteran Joe Flacco from the Cleveland Browns. Just a few days after getting to Cincinnati, this guy is starting against the Green Bay Packers, one of the best teams in the league. A team that, shockingly, he found a way to beat as the starter in Cleveland just a few weeks prior. Flacco wasn't able to beat them a second time with the Bengals, and Cincinnati lost another game, though it was incredibly close throughout. Then, just a few more days after that, making it 9 days total since getting traded to Cincinnati, Flacco forced everybody to reconsider the Bengals season on a random Thursday night. This Bengals team walked into a divisional matchup with the 4-1 Pittsburgh Steelers and walked away with a 33-31 victory. Pittsburgh fans will probably tell you that they could have seen this loss coming from a mile away, but the majority of NFL fans were in disbelief. Like, who would have thought that we'd see a shootout between Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco, 2 40-year-old quarterbacks? I certainly didn't, and I have never been more happy to be wrong. Cincinnati was coming into this matchup with a 2-4 record, and about another month or two left to go without their superstar at the helm. Dropping yet another game and falling to 2-5 on the season wouldn't have exactly ended their season, but I guarantee you that you would have witnessed all of those Bengals players looking completely demoralized if they had lost. It's why you had so many people saying that this was basically a must-win game for them despite it being only week 7. From the jump, Flacco looked completely unbothered against the Steelers despite only being there for 9 days. He played like a guy who's, well, seen it all, which I guess he has, and he just picked apart a very good Steelers defense. He finished the game with 342 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. This wasn't just checkdowns either. Like, Flacco was pushing the ball down the field and making big-time throws when it mattered most. At one point, the Bengals had scored on 6 straight possessions, which was easily one of their best offensive stretches of the entire year. The secret sauce to this whole thing? The connection between Flacco and Jamar Chase. With the offensive line still getting pushed around a little bit, the game plan was simple. Get the ball out of Flacco's hands as quickly as possible and into your best players. Chase was targeted a mind-blowing 23 times and just went off, setting a new Bengals franchise record with 16 catches for 161 yards and a touchdown. He was basically unstoppable, catching screens, breaking tackles, winning jump balls, and just being an all-around nightmare for the defense, whether it was Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, or Joey Porter guarding him. It was proof that he could completely take over a game no matter who was throwing him the football, and there aren't many players in the NFL that can say that. But it wasn't just the Jamar Chase show. Flacco spread the love, hitting 5 different players and throwing touchdowns to 3 of them, being Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Noah Fant. Higgins, who had been pretty quiet this season, exploded for a season-high 96 yards on 6 catches. His biggest was a 28-yard catch on the game-winning drive that set the Bengals up for the win. And mind you, he could have scored on this play, but he decided to slide near the goal line so they could just run the clock and kick a game-winning field goal. Even the defense, which has been getting torched all year, made huge plays. After going down 10-0 early on, the entire game flipped when safety Jordan Battle picked off a deep ball from Aaron Rodgers. That turnover sparked a 17-0 run for the Bengals before halftime and completely changed the feel of the game. In the end, it all came down to that aforementioned 36-yard kick from Evan McPherson with just 7 seconds left. The kick was obviously perfect, and the Bengals pulled off a 33-31 victory that sends a jolt not just through their team, but through the AFC North, a division that is still just up in the air right now, with so many injuries to basically everyone but the Steelers. So what does one win for them actually mean? Was this game just a fluke, or is this team for real now that Flacco is leading them until Burrow comes back? For the first time since Joe Burrow's injury, there's a reason to be optimistic. That win pushed the Bengals to 3-4, and again, it's not a great record, but it pulls them just 1.5 games behind the Steelers for the lead in the AFC North division. A division that at one point looked totally out of reach is now suddenly winnable. The conversation has gone from who are they going to draft with a top 10 pick to can they actually make a playoff push. That game gave us the blueprint for how these Bengals can win without Joe Burrow. It takes a heroic performance from their superstars, a smart game plan to help out the offensive line, and a defense that can create a key turnover or two. Now, that is a tough formula to pull off. It is so much easier said than done, I'll be honest, but it's not impossible. Joe Flacco showed he's more than just a guy filling in. He can distribute the ball to his playmakers and lead this team until the superstar comes back. I mean, there's even a great clip of his reaction when Jamar Chase drops a pass. Like, Flacco was feeling himself this game. But let's be real for a second. The huge problems that have negatively affected this group are still there. I mean, the offensive line is still one of the worst in the league despite having a good afternoon this Thursday night. And the defense is still giving up a ton of points. I mean, they just gave up 31 to Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers. The change of mind here isn't about calling the Bengals Super Bowl contenders straight away. It's about realizing they're not the lost cause that they looked like a week ago. They are a flawed team, for sure, but they're also a tough one with some truly elite players. That win against Pittsburgh proved that their ceiling, even without their starting quarterback, is a whole lot higher than any of us thought they would be without him. And besides, nobody is expecting Joe Flacco to win a Super Bowl in Cincinnati. That's not even the team's goal of bringing him in. All this franchise wants to do right now is remain firmly in playoff contention by the time Burrow can come back from his injury. Because if they make the playoffs with a healthy Burrow, the sky is the limit, and the AFC is wide open right now. I think that it's safe to say that the Bengals are one of the most interesting teams in football. One week, they look like they're playing for a top 5 draft pick, and the next, they are beating their division leader in prime time. They proved they aren't just going to lie down and quit, and they also proved that Jamar Chase on the field with a quarterback that can get him the ball means anything is possible for this offense. The road ahead is going to be tough, for sure, and the odds are definitely still against them, but for the first time in the past few weeks, there is a little bit of hope. But what do you think? Was that win over the Steelers a sign of a real turnaround, or was it just a one-week miracle? Let me know what you think in the comments below, and while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe because it helps this channel out a ton. And if you happen to be interested, I don't know if you saw my post on this, I have just made an X or Twitter account where I'm just going to be talking football whenever games are on. If you are interested in that, if you're on Twitter, on X, and you want to just kind of talk, have a conversation, relax, I'll put the link in the description, and I'll even try and put it on the screen for you as well. So I look forward to talking to all of you guys on there. And if you're interested in my content and what I do, please click on one of the videos that are on the screen right now. With all that being said, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all in the next one.